Morning everyone, hope you're all well and welcome to Crafting Joyful Moments with me, Helen Armstrong, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today is Sharing Sunday, so I'm going to share with you how I made the card that you can see in the middle. But first of all, let's move that out of the way and I'm going to bring in some of the cards that I've been making this week. So I decided yesterday, if you have a look on YouTube, you will see Simply Made Saturday. So the Simply Made Saturday card was literally 2 strips of DSP, designer series paper. All I did was one side of the designer series paper was the front bit, and the other flip side of the designer series paper was the back. And I've also added some designer series paper to the envelopes just to bring that little bit extra specialness. So these are the ones that we made yesterday. These are rather nice. I do like these, all different size types. Yeah, as you can see, I did go a bit mad. I basically used all the designer series paper that I have currently out. So that were those. Because we had Valentine's Day yesterday, I also made this. I'm just liking all the purples and the layering. And then we had Wordy Wednesday this week, and 4 different makes from using the same things, but this I embossed this with clear embossing powder, and then I raised this up and added a little bit extra by putting the gems on. So we go from a very flat, I don't know where that is on there. We go from a very flat card to then one that is raised with dimensionals and a couple of embellishments. We then go to one which has been embossed with clear embossing powder, and then the final one, take it into the next level, all of it, and it's also on dimensionals to make it pop a bit more. Right, okay, so that was basically what I've been making this week. I'll also show you something I've been playing with as well. We do have a new embossing folder coming out in March, and I've had some fun just messing with that and just seeing. I actually quite like the way when I cut into the vellum, the middle bits of the daisies popped out, and then when I layered it on top of that, I quite like that effect. So stay tuned, we'll be using that in the coming weeks. Right, so today, what we're doing today. So as I said, I'm going to show you how I made this card. This is definitely more me. I like a slightly grungy effect. And what I've used to make it is the Just a Note cling set. Let's just get this right. Cling stamp set, Just a Note. And also the Just a Note dies. These are currently on Last Chance. And they're at a quite decent price at the moment, so if you fancy getting these, head over to Last Chance on Stampin' Up and get yourself a set of these. The dies come with, so they have this die which cuts that, so it almost gives you a note page. We also have paper clips and the top of a binder clip, and there is also some arrows, some hearts, and that the heart is also a clip, and then you've got another binder clip which you can add together to make. It's a really nice little one for making little note cards. I am going to do a little mini scrapbook using this next week, so stay tuned for that. Obviously I'll still use it whilst it's in Last Chance because you still can get it. Now this video is going out today, which is the 15th of February 2026. So currently, as of the 15th of February 2026 in the UK, you can get that bundle, the Just a Note bundle of dies and stamps. The other thing we are using today will be the Thoughtful Journey designer series paper. Again, it's not on Last Chance. This is rolled over from last year, and I absolutely love it. There we get 48 sheets, 4 of each, 12 double-sided paper, and I just love the effect you get on both sides of the paper. It's just gorgeous. So many ways you can use this paper. You can use it as a background. You can use it just as a focal point. You can put a sentiment on, but it is absolutely gorgeous. The colours in that are Blackberry Bliss, Boho Blue, Cajun Craze, Calypso Coral, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Mossy Meadow, Peach Pie, Petunia Pop, Pool Party, Pretty Peacock and Wild Wheat. Now, I am expecting that paper to maybe go into Last Chance when we get our new 2026 to 2027 catalogue, because some of those colours are what we call our in colours, and they have they will be retired this year when the new catalogue comes out, unfortunately. The other thing I'm going to use today is what we call the Heirlooms Arrangement set Kit. Now this kit comes with stamps, it comes with a stamping block, it also comes with some tearing tape, and it comes with envelopes, cards and embellishments to make enough for 8 cards. Now, me being the frugal me that I am, I like to push these kits as much as I possibly can. The last kit I bought, I managed to make 40 cards out of a kit just by adding, doing different things with it, the designer series paper, that sort of thing. So some of these are absolutely gorgeous. It comes with die cuts that you can cut out. Just pop out. We've got some vellum as well, which just pops out. You then have 8 cards and 8 envelopes, and there's also some extra bits that you can add to the cards. So yeah, this kit makes 8 cards. However, as I said before, when I do it, it can make a lot more. I'm just going to put that back to one side because I've already got the bits out ready. So yeah, the stamp set it comes with. It has Thankful and Grateful, I appreciate your kindness, thank you, for you, I feel lucky to have you, and it has this I'm trying to think of the word, can't think of the word, but a stamp that will make it just like a slightly background grungy effect. And then also we have, I think this is a moth rather than a butterfly, but people have said it's a butterfly rather than a moth. But I just really like it, and as you can see, I've used that stamp on the back. The Just a Note stamp comes with a lined stamp, so you can add, and that's what I've done on this piece of paper here. I'm not explaining myself very well this morning, am I? So when you get a kit from Stampin' Up, it comes with all the things I've just shown you, and then also a full instruction booklet on what you can make. So these are the cards you can make if you didn't want to go do the extra like I'm doing. And it gives you a step-by-step instruction to do and make those cards. Now, this current kit is £22. And I'll say you get 8 cards and more if you decide to push further with it. Right, so that's what we're going to aim for today. So let's get started. I've already cut some bits and pieces out ready, rather than you having to wait for me to cut out on the Stampin' and Emboss machine. I've got all my little bits ready that I can just start layering and colouring, because I'm going to add some colour to the cards before I add the rest of the embellishments. So let's just put those to one side. Put my envelopes to one side. I'm going to use them in a minute. I'm going to start using, I'm going to use the cards. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up some colours that are in these 2 bits. I've yet to decide whether I'm going to use both like that, or I'm going to actually go deep on one side. I think I might actually swap one of these out. Let's just have a look at the other ones that I have. I might actually use a thistle. I'm going to go for that one instead. So I'm going to use one of our thistle, the paper with the thistles on. So there are papers. I love it. What I'm going to do is then, what I did for this, I'm not explaining stuff. What I did for this particular piece of card, I used a card base So I'll just show you that card base. So I used a card base and I cut out that from the card base. So you could actually get 2 out of 1 card base. And then you could also turn it over and you could get another 2 blank ones, which is what I did with this one, and I just then stamped on it. But I quite like just having that background on it. Okay. So we're going to use those. But first of all, let's add some colour. So I'm going to go a little bit dark and a little bit green on one of these cards. And I think we'll add some of that in. I might even add a little bit of Lost Lagoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, for one of the cards, which I'm going to base on this, I'm going to do some Lost Lagoon, a little bit of Pretty Peacock, some Mossy Meadow, and a hint of Blackberry Bliss. So let's get started with our blending. So I need a purple, a green, a blue. Yeah, that'll be fine. So we just need 3 of those brushes. And we're also going to do some stamping on it as well. So I'm going to start with my lightest colour, which is Lost Lagoon for this one. I'm just picking up from the ink pad and I'm making sure that I'm coming on from the side. I want it to be a little bit darker at the edges. I like having that little bit darkness at the edge. And again, coming in from the side and just blending in towards the centre. Hope you can see this okay. Just going to make sure I'm moving into the middle. Okay, happy with that. I'll pick up my Pretty Peacock. And at the same time, I'm going to wipe my hand because yet again I've managed to get my thumb into the ink. So just using a slightly darker brush. And then I'm just going to come in again at the edges, come in a little bit. See, you're looking for a sort of a mottled effect, so it's not got to be perfect, it's not got to be perfectly blended. You're just adding a touch of colour to the paper, and let's just add a bit to the corners. Okay. Go in with our green. So this is our Mossy Meadow. Let's pick up a different brush. Again, I'm just adding bits. Most of the bit in the middle will be covered. But I'm just adding that a little bit, hint of green to the edges. You can go as dark or as grungy as you want to. I do quite like that. And then I'm just going to add a tiny bit of Blackberry Bliss. Blackberry Bliss. Now, you'll notice that I do have my brushes labelled. This was when I first started out and I decided I was going to have a brush for every colour. I've since decided actually you can have a brush for reds, you can have a brush for oranges. You don't necessarily need a brush for every colour. So that's what I ended up doing. So all I'm going to do, I didn't do that very well. Let's see if I can blend it out a little bit. So very lightly, not heavy-handedly as much as I am doing. You see, I'm not doing this very well. Hopefully a lot of this will be covered. Let's go on to the tips of the card. Bring a little bit in. Okay. Let's close those and just move them out of the way. Okay, so we have our card there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in this layer. And I'm going to actually, each time, I am going to use dimensionals each time. I want to be able to see a bit more of that. That's okay. I think I'm happy with that. But before I do anything else, I want to do some stamping on that piece of card before we add anything else to it. So I'm going to get our butterfly stamp, or moth stamp as I call it, and I'm going to pick up the Pretty Peacock. I like Pretty Peacock, seems to be my go-to. I'm just going to go off the edge there. So second and third generation of the stamping. And I'm going to take off the sentiment I'm going to use, which is I Feel Lucky to Have You, and that is in the kit. I'm just going to put it there, and I'm going to put it there, and stamp off. Okay. I'm also going to bring my brush back in with the Pretty Peacock in, and I'm just going to add some to the edges into the middle. Okay, a little bit of that green, pick up the green, and a tiny bit of the, okay, so we're sort of pulling in all those colours together. I'm also going to use our stamp, texture stamp. That's the word I was trying to think of earlier, which is the texture stamp. Okay, I'm going to stamp off and I'm going to stamp on. So I've only stamped once into the ink and then I stamped off. Okay, so now we can build our card. Let's close this ink. And let's grab our dimensionals and my pokey tool. Okay, so first layer we're going to do is put this layer on. You could use either side of this for this particular card. It will work, either side will work really, really well. You know, I was about to say either side will work really, really well. And I've gone and put the dimensional on the wrong side. There we go. Make sure you turn it over and put it on the side you want. Now you just want to make sure you put enough dimensionals on that it's not going to collapse in the middle really. So I'm just going to put those 5 on. Let's take my pokey tool. Okay. And let's layer that up. Okay, I'm going to have it around about there. I'm going to take our top part. Again, making sure we have the middle covered. I'm going to layer that on the top. So it's however you decide you want to layer it. I want to be able to see some of that paper underneath. So I'm actually going to, that's how my layers are going to be. I probably could have done it a bit better and not have it over so much of that side, but never mind. I'm now going to add some extra little bits that we have. So we could take that and we could layer that before we add our butterfly or moth. And we could add flower. I'm definitely going to be adding but I think let's have a look at the other side. Picked two of these. I think that's probably the better one. And I'm just going to grunge it up a little bit with the green. That pretty peacock. Happy with that. Right, okay. But I'm actually going to add some colour to this as well. Pick up possibly, I think, over the top. Those of you who've watched me a few times know that I'm a very messy crafter. It's just how I work. I can't help it. I try to keep my space clean and tidy. But unfortunately, a bit like my brain. Yeah. I think my craft space mirrors pretty much what my brain is like. I'm just going to take off those bit of white edges on the flower so it's not as in your face. Okay, so this one I'm going to just layer flat like that over the top. I think we just use our glue for that. If I can find my glue. Sorry, you're probably just now getting my jumper in the way. Glue. Okay, I'm going to just layer this now flat. So how's everybody's Sunday going? I mean, I know it's quite early for me this Sunday morning. Has anybody got any nice plans? What's the weather like? The weather here for us is yet again wet and windy, unfortunately. It just seems to be the way in the northwest of England at the moment. I'm hopeful that the weather will improve. So this is where I really need to clean my hands, but it just adds to that little bit more grunge feel. This bit we're going to put on dimensionals to give it some lift. Ensuring that the sentiment stays, or you can still see the sentiment on the card. Okay, center that in the middle. And then for the last thing we're going to do, we're going to add our paper clip. So make sure that we get it just so, I think, yeah. Put a little dab of glue on the back. Not too much, we don't need a lot. I hope everybody has had a good week and is looking forward to the start of the new week. I don't know whether anyone else has been watching the Winter Olympics, but I certainly do not have the, let's just say, throwing myself down a mountain. It just does not appeal. Let's add one more dimensional to the back of our moth butterfly to pick up our butterfly theme. And there you have it. But I'm going to add one last little bit. I'm just going to pick up what's called Wink of Stella. I'm just going to add a little bit of sheen to the clip itself at the top. And then also on our paper clip. And then I think also on the tips of the wings of the moth/butterfly. Okay, so that's card number 1. We're going to do a very similar thing, but we're going to do it with different colours with card number 2. So let's put that to one side. And let's bring in our next card. This one I'm going to use a lot more purple and green with a little hint of orange. It may sound a bit odd, but let's run with it and see what we get. So I'm actually going to start with our purple. I'm basing it on this a little bit, just a little bit, not massively. Right, okay, so I'm kind of coming quite dark in that bottom corner. And the same at the top. Okay. Sorry for the sniffing again. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think it's cold this time. I think it's hay fever hitting slightly early. As soon as we tend to get a little bit of tree pollen, a little bit of flowers coming on the trees or what have you, my hay fever tends to start. Right, so I'm now picking up some pretty peacock. So we've had our Blackberry Bliss, and now I'm just adding some pretty peacock. And then we're going to add our orange with the Calypso Coral. Up our orange brush. Oh, actually it's Calypso Coral. That's a new one. Okay. Do we need to add a little bit of Mossy Meadow? let's add it and just see what happens. Just picks up those green tones from that paper. Okay, so this one I'm actually going to use our butterfly or moth. Stamp off. Okay, I'm going to on the mossy meadow. So we're going to do a full image and then a half image. Didn't stamp that very well. Never mind, it's going to be mainly covered. Okay. Before I put that away, we're going to just add a little bit of colour to the paper, just to turn that colour down ever so slightly, because we don't want it to be bright against the rest of the card. And I'm just picking up all the colours that we've used and just adding that in. Okay, let's put the brushes away. We might need them, but we can get them back out. Okay, so this is what we're layering up. On this one. Okay, like that. And we're going to add our flowers. I may even pick up a flower in the corner here and a paper clip, but we need to have what we're going to write on this time. So this time I think we are going to use just our For You, and I'm going to do it in that mossy meadow. I quite like the mossy meadow, so let's just stamp off just to see. Yeah, that's working. Okay. Okay, move that to one side. Let's just bring in our mossy meadow brush just to take off that whiteness on that card with the flowers on, just to tone it down a tad, which is good. And I'm just going to take the one that we used with Blackberry Bliss. I'm just going to take off that white edge on that piece. Okay, don't think we're going to use that one, but we are going to use our paper clip. So let's get putting together. Does anyone else talk to, just a quick question, does anyone else talk to themselves whilst you're crafting? I do. I talk to myself the whole time I'm crafting. Don't know whether that's something weird or whether that's normal. It'd be nice if I'm not the only one that does this. It's almost as if the cogs in my head are turning and I'm coming up with, oh, yeah, that might work. This might work. Yeah. So as I said, this particular set, the Heirloom Arrangements, I've not done that very well, have I? The Heirloom Arrangements Kit has been out some time actually, but I absolutely adore it, and I have actually got 3 sets of it because I love it so much. And picked up with the paper the Thoughtful Journey paper as well. Those colours just seem to go really, really well together with it, which means, as I said, you can make so many more cards from the one kit. Or if you wanted to, you could just do the 8 cards from the kit. And I think, you know, for £22 to be able to make 8 handmade cards, I think is a bit of a steal, to be honest. That's better. I know myself, I would prefer to have a handmade card delivered to me, even if it's not something that that person had made. You know, if they asked somebody to make a handmade card for them, I would treasure it more than just going to a card shop and picking out a card. But then that's just me. I think the effort of either making it yourself or, you know, using one of our kits or asking someone else to make it, it just shows that you've put a little bit more effort in than just going to the card shop to buy a card, which obviously there are hundreds if not thousands of that same card out in the world, whereas every single handmade card is different. Because even if you use a kit from Stampin Up or any other card making organisation, you will, you know, that nobody will make the card the same. They will put it they will put the embellishment slightly different. They will position the sentiment slightly differently. So yeah, I've just realised, oh, I was going to think, have I not got the clip to go at the top of my paper? But I do. Okay, I'm just going to put that like that, so it's slightly over on the flower. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a touch of pink to it, just to pick up on those edges. Let's use dimensionals again. One at the top, at the side, and at the side. I hope you all had a lovely Valentine's Day yesterday if you celebrated it. I actually had a Galentine's Day with my wonderful daughter. We went into Manchester for the day and it was lovely. We took some jewellery that we'd inherited to get sorted, and we just had a nice coffee, and it was just such a lovely day. I love spending time with my daughter. Now that she doesn't live at home, it's really, really nice. So last touches for this one. Again, we're just adding a bit of sparkle with our Wink of Stella. And then on the paper clip, and then I'm just going to maybe, I'm going to add anything extra. Do I just need to, I'm probably spoiling it now, putting too much on. Okay. Now, so we have our 3 cards, all slightly different colours, all done differently. Oh, what do we think? Do we need to add some embellishments? We've got some on here. Do we need to add any on the rest of them? Let's just have a look. What have we got that we can add? Oh, quite like those. Let's add maybe a couple on here of these ones. always do them in threes. Do we have any pinky coloured tones? Let me just have a look. Or do we just want to... Oh, probably... I think I'm actually going to probably go with the Cajun. Oh no, I'm actually going to use these ones. These are adhesive backed textures dots, and I'm not even sure whether we still have them in, unfortunately. But rather than not use them, I will. So you can put any embellishment on. It doesn't have to necessarily match what you've been doing. Okay. Put one in the centre of the flower. Put one up here. And maybe a little one just down there. Just down there. Perfect. Right, okay. That is our 3 cards done. I hope you've enjoyed what I've made today and shared with you, just to give you an idea of what you can do if you use one of our kits and just take a different approach. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your week, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye.